Right, we are live. That was fast. Um, we are looking at a time in sales and the tick. We might as well just give it a little go while we're on it, and then I'll switch the screen to the other one. So basically, what we're looking at here, we can see the tick, especially if we zoom this thing out. As far as today, started off. Oh, for you guys, but on YouTube, it's the wrong, it's the other screen. Yeah, yeah. No, here, I'll just switch it. Let me switch it. Properties. 'Cause sometimes when I start the computer, there we go. Sometimes when I start the computer, it switches screen 3 and screen 4 like between each other based on like how they start or whatever. And so it changes my left screen to screen 3, my right screen to screen 4, and then I have to switch it every day. All right, so here we are. The tick opened up low. We got a little buying, pushed back down low, got a little buying, and now we're pushing back up to that zero line. We can see Apple just kind of balancing, and if we take a peek around the market here, we'll see the same thing. Microsoft balancing, Google balancing, Amazon balancing, right? Amazon was weak yesterday, then started to get a little bit of strength at the end of the day. Tesla's up 4%. We're seeing a big move today in some of these electric car makers. Um, oh, Peter, you got your son with you? Summer training program. Hell yeah, good stuff. And then Facebook is actually looking a little bit stronger than most of the rest of the FANG today. And then we can see kind of a mixed bag here. So we're not really getting anything pointing to signs of the trend, and kind of a mixed bag as far as the sectors go. So jumping into the profile, we can see um, um, for the most part, we really haven't done anything today. And this is kind of one of those days, right? We're still inside yesterday's range, but we're inside the initial period on the open, this A period. And typically when something like this happens, at least in my experience, when we end up, if we end up breaking this A low or A high, you get a lot of movement after, and sometimes can turn into a trend day. So the reason I'm thinking this, or this is kind of setting up, is it sets up perfectly in both directions, because if we break above this A high, we do have some resistance really up until like that 75, but other than that, there's room up there, right? We have a VPOC up here at the 80, so there's room up there for this thing to start trending and shorts to start covering to get us to get the market moving, right? And then to the downside, if this A level were to break, we don't really have much support here. That 24 to 16 level, there's a little bit of support there. Maybe the market can catch a bounce, but if not, and it rejects, you'll be looking down for that T2 low. And we've got all of this overnight inventory. Even though overnight inventory was 100% short, it hasn't been corrected, right? We went just barely above that overnight high. So there's still people that are short from the overnight. And if it starts to go, and there's people, obviously, if there's a bunch of people short, there's obviously a bunch of people long. We're basically inside the overnight range, so probably everyone's still kind of holding on to their positions. You had a little bit of short covering early on in the A period from some of these overnight shorts. But if we get back below that, they're going to be targeting these single prints and then the low of balance. And I mean, it could really start to move, because we're getting a buildup of positions on both sides right now. We've got this C high, B high, so we're kind of coming down, and then off the A high, the C low is kind of questionable. But this is one of those times where, with your trades, if you do get if you do take a trade near the edges of A and B, and it's the reversion to mean trade, like, so if you're looking to get long at the low of A and get short at the top of A, just be careful. And if it starts to go, just cut it quick. Don't try to hope. Today's not one of those days where you're just going to hope that it comes back once it breaks the A period. Until then, we're probably just going to chop around and get a whole lot of nothing. shit, I forgot to send out the invite. So there's coming the low. Like I said, that C low looked a little bit questionable, so it makes sense that we're going to come down here and try to test it. Let's see if they can get any continuation though below this 3840 level. Discord that. Oh. One second, guys. I'm trying to send this link out to Odell. There we go. I think we just had an economic data release too. Let me look at Twitter and see. I mean, I guess I could look at the website, but you know, stock market news on Twitter is fast as fuck. So, Spotify technology company's monthly subscriber churn rate has declined by nearly 30% over the last 4 years. Spotify technology believe podcast has a 40 to 50% gross margin potential. Companies move into podcasting has impacted our overall gross margin. So they're saying they're basically blaming their losses on Joe Rogan. What a fucking joke. Nobody wants to take responsible for their fuck ups. How about overvaluing things, thinking that everyone's just going to jump on Spotify and abandon Amazon and Apple? Like, what are you, stupid? We're seeing a lot of these equities start to come back to earth, right? Like if we look at spot, I mean, it's up today, but we can see it was up like 400, I think. Close to 310 here. Yeah, it was up 391. This is back in 21, yeah. Yeah, so I remember when Spotify was up near 400 and you know, now they're back down to 100. So a lot of these, and same thing with Zoom, right? A lot of these things Zoom's up big today too. I mean, Zoom was up 400 as well, and they're all coming back down to reality, 114, right? So we're seeing a lot of these stocks just start to realize that there's gravity on Earth, and it's starting to affect them again. So, um, if you're just joining us on YouTube, basically what we're looking for here is we are looking for acceptance above or below this Globex area, really, and really to see a breach of either the A low or the A high. Remember, above this A high, we do still have a bit of resistance. We kind of peaked in there this morning and kind of ran out of steam, as you see here. We get that spike, and then we have that poor high, that T2 high. That can give us some breathing room and give the market some short covering at least to come up here and maybe look to test that poor high from 2 days ago. And if they are able to correct that poor high and hold, and so what we'll be looking for if we do break this poor high, we want to see it hold the impulse, which is probably going to be the top of the spike, the 64. We want to see it hold that level to get continuation up to this 76 to 80 level, which would be our our first upside target on the event of a breakout after the 68, naturally. And then below, if the market starts to establish below this Globex low, a lot of this volume that's coming in here and all of these, buyers that are probably still long from the overnight that haven't got, uh, forced out yet, start to see it get down here and hold, you'll start to see some liquidation possibly, and that liquidation could bring us down to this 21.16 range. And then below that is where we go. That T2 low is lined up almost perfectly with those single prints, which basically just tells us that, these people were selling the previous low, selling the previous low, selling the previous low, finally gave it up. That was what kind of caused that move to start yesterday. And then here we are, just still stuck in balance. One thing I was going over, and maybe we might have discovered something new about the profile, maybe not. But what I was looking at, I was looking at other balance areas, is this profile kind of looks like a key to me, right? Like a weird key, right? Not as like nice and balanced as, I mean, even this one's kind of ugly, but poor high. But a lot of these profiles are, more or less not really as, don't really have as many peaks as and valleys, basically, right? They don't really have as many protruding TPOs that are even, like this one here, two distributions and then just kind of trade up. This one just has basically one distribution. Same thing here, just kind of widens out, gets thin at the bottom. And so anyways, when I've seen these, typically in the direction that this one's in, so this would be like a key to the upside, that tells us that buyers were basically just buying the dip all day yesterday, and if they're able to hold their levels today, that we should get a continuation to the upside. Not for certain, and I haven't been able to back test it as much as I would like, because I just barely started thinking about it yesterday because I found some other kind of key references, but just something something going forward that I'm going to start tracking, and figured I'd share it with you guys. And it's more of an abstract concept than anything. It's definitely not in a book or anything like that. Morning, Trin. Morning, Adam. The market's sitting pretty squarely here, right below the VWAP, which is kicking at 45.75, but we're putting a lot of back and forth right here at the 40-ish level, 43 right now. We're getting these sellers trying to move down to kind of smother price down, but they're just really not having any success. Anytime that we've gotten a little bit of excess on the low right here, and then we just got a little bit of excess here, we just see immediate short covering, and the market starts to rebound. It's it's just inside balance. It's just going to be choppy, And as far as the trades that I took today, I actually took a long off of the 40 and the 42 this morning during a period after we broke back up above that open. And then a perfect trade setup was that to short up here at this A high, but I was in a long, and it was a hard transition for me to just to flip it, even though we were running right into that spike, so I didn't catch it back down. Earthquake hits Lake Balaki in Russia with an 8.4 magnitude, epicenter Russia emergency ministry. Damn, 8.4, that's not a joke. That's a big ass earthquake. So right here in this area, from about 48 to about 44, we've just seen the market be thin pretty much all day, even though it's the widest part of our profile, right? And we've seen this before, where we have 4 TPOs wide here, but yet no volume. Nobody's wanting to do business here. And so basically what that's going to give us is going to give us our LIS, right? Our line in the sand, where we don't want to be trading in this area, and we don't want to be getting long below it. I mean, even though I don't want to say that, because I really like this 40 level, and I've been getting long on this 40 level like all day, but this is just kind of like one of those areas we just don't want to be taking any trades in, right? There might be opportunity from the upside, there's opportunity from the downside, but this is kind of that spot where from inside this box, price really could go anywhere. And they've been kind of, pulling tricks all day, right? They've come down through it, they come back up, they've come back down, they've come back up. So sometimes it's happened pretty quick. It does look like they're trying to do a bit of backfilling here, but they haven't really they haven't, maybe just not have enough time. But I mean, 4 TPOs, you feel like you have enough time to buy something, you know what I mean? But if buyers step up and hold this 45 again, and we don't trade back down to that 40, 43 level, this thing, has opportunity to continue to the upside. 50 to 51, like the resistance here. You're seeing buyers step up, sellers trying to absorb, but buyers are just lifting offers like they're fucking gonna disappear forever. Cold hands. Russia, there's some news that came out of Russia last night that said that they're going to start imposing a 10% tax on all their wheat exports. And, we know that most of their wheat exports are going to the Baltics and Europe. So that'll be key to pay attention to as we continue to go forward and see the cost of goods over there in Europe, which, something that we've been tracking for a while now, because come winter time, when things start to get ugly, and you start to see people's true colors when they start going without the things that they're accustomed to going with. And fucking people love cereal for some reason. I mean, it tastes great, yeah, but it's just fucking, like, it's just like the worst, and it's the worst time to eat sugar. Like right in the morning. Oh, let me just spike my insulin first thing in the morning. Oof. Whoever pulled the wool over the fucking FDA's eyes and said cereal could get a stamp of approval from America, obviously was juiced in hard. Other news today, the Waltons bought or are buying the Denver Broncos. And the Waltons are the people that own Wally World, Walmart. So we're at that 51. This is kind of that make or break level for these sellers. If they're going to move down, this is the spot that they kind of need to do it. Just come in. Just push. Yeah. What's up? So you see the sellers hold the first time, but not really any push through, and then we're starting to see buyers lift the offer up here at the 50 quarter. You just had a ton of orders run through. See if they can get it going. Remember, their target up is going to be that settle. So there's a buyer here on the 50 quarter. If they're able to keep holding this, their target is going to be that settle, that 58.75. And if it breaks that A high, there's good odds that this thing could turn into a trend A up to the upside. As we see, overnight inventory 100% net short. We've got a bunch of people short here, I'm sure. And that's short covering is what can cause these big moves and cause these single prints to occur. Of course, naturally, I'm going to be taking some off on the way up because we want to sell into strength, right? We don't want to just be kind of hoping and praying. We want to make sure that we pay ourselves. Big sell order on the 54.75. That could have been that buyer down there that was on the 50 quarter just covering his position. 100 lot order on the 54.75. That buyer's still stepping up here in 55 quarter. There we go. Liquidity clank. The money goes into my pay. So 58.75 is the first target. If they don't have the juice to even get to the settle, then most likely they're just going to fade back to the spike base at 49, which is where the POC is at. But above that settle, we should see some shorts start to pucker up a little bit and start getting scared and start buying all their shit back. Here. Yesterday I had like one of the biggest scares ever. My iPad wasn't charging. I'll have to go down to the Apple store. What the fuck? So you see him hold off that settle. That D high is weak. That looks like mechanical selling here. Someone's absorbing though. There's a seller up here trying to absorb on that 56.50. It looked like 56 quarter. So sellers on the 56 quarter. Look for that 58.75. They'll start to short cover if they get up there. The seller's starting to move down here, starting to get some decent sized orders up here all the way to the 60. About 56.75, 56 quarter. Get back. So, there was like all that excitement and then fizzle back down here. Let's see if they can keep stepping up. Remember that buyer that we saw earlier was on the 50 quarter. Or that seller's on the 56 quarter, so too much above him, and he's going to start covering the rest of his position. He had a chance to take a little bit of profit. Remember, we know it was a mechanical seller. Mechanical sellers are short term, and we're starting to see a bit of a battle here. These sellers trying to absorb the highs. It looks like buyers might just be a little too scared to run it up. Take a look at the breadth. The breadth is starting to pick up a little bit to the upside, but still nothing crazy. We have mixed sectors. We take a peek at the S&P 500 heat map. Right, Google, Facebook, Apple, Microsoft's lagging us, Amazon's lagging us, healthcare is not looking great, and then energy, financials, industrials, and utilities all kind of look like shite. So in order to get that breakout, right, as much as you know it might be setting up nice, we're gonna have to get some some team effort here. But the ticks are clicking back down below. Although there you go, they're back up above zero now. Take a peek at the volume as well. Got 6 minutes until the next period opens up. Volume is about even as it was from yesterday. Oil, oh, I don't know if you guys have seen this, but so oil's up at 120, breaking out of our range. This is something that we kind of talked about. Let's just look on the daily. Let's go on here. This is something that we kind of talked about last week, that we wanted to look for support above the 117 level. Well, we ended up getting it last week, and now, or this week. Last week we kind of broke out, and then this week we held it as support. So we're looking to see if it's going to continue to go up, and look for this 117, 116.50 to start holding as support if oil backtests that. Apple. Yellen sees no way in which inflation is a decade-long problem. She's a future predictor, apparently. A lot of our chip makers are looking kind of like shit. Morning, Dad. Seller here on the 52.50. Looks like they might have been trapped here. Let's see. Oil's going. Gold is up today too, about 0.5%, about 1861 right now. The Russell's down. NQ's green. ES is technically red because it's below the settle from yesterday, right? So we're technically red even though we're above the open. But the NQ is green. The Russell and the Dow are both red. Bonds are red. TLT is also red. Oh, just barely. You're starting to see some advancement So this is the market. Imagine every stock in the S&P 500, right? We started off with over 1,000 being down, um, versus going up, and we're slowly kind of making these higher highs, but we still haven't made any ground, right? Still about 800 going down versus going up. So not really great odds for the breakout, but like I said, I think this breakout, if it does happen, is mostly going to be on the backs of um short covering of old money, but I think the higher prices could bring in new money, um because people are sick of trading this balance, and on a break up of balance that might just perk everyone's ears up and be like, you know what, we're out of balance finally, let me get some action. 897, what's up, bro? How are you? Pop, good morning, man. Let's get after it. Let's get it. Hands aren't frozen. I turn on my little heater real quick. My hands up. That high doesn't look very strong to me right here. This D high. I have a heater on my feet and a fan on my face. Yeah, see, there's no school or anything, so like everyone's sleeping in, and so we just leave the air conditioner on. And inside the office, like it's one of the smaller rooms, I guess. So it just fucking gets cold fast as fuck. All right, E period is opening up. Let's see what we get here. I'm gonna peek the volume real quick. Volume during D period was basically even with yesterday. Literally like to the tick, 53 contract difference or 53 volume difference, almost exactly the same as yesterday. And you know what? I won't be surprised, like I said in the trade view, if any of you guys checked it out, I won't be surprised to see us just kind of sit in balance until we start to get a uh into, you know, the Fed, and then we have PMI this Friday at 5:30 in the morning, and that could tell us if inflation has peaked compared to last month. We know England's PMI came out last week, and theirs did not peak. Um, and same thing with Japan as well. So you know that's going to be key there, um, going into this weekend, and people may just be waiting for that. Ooh, shorts look like they're covering here. Well, let's see if these buyers can lift this offer. Buyers trying to come in at 55 here. If they can keep lifting the offer, we should go test that high at 58 at least. A lot of scalping going on this morning, it looks like. How did I not get filled, you fucking dog? Hit the like. Yeah, guys. If you can do me a favor and just smash that like button. I appreciate everyone joining, and if you guys have questions, definitely ask. Or if you guys have a subject that you want to talk about, you guys know I can ramble with the best of them. So, let's get it rocking. Doesn't necessarily have to be about the chart that we're looking at. It could be about anything. Got a lot of information trapped inside my brain, just fucking waiting to be shared. So. Buyer trapped at 57. Need to get back above that 57 or else this thing probably roll back down. Keep buying. There's just a lot of resistance here, like this 56.75 up to that 60. They're just kind of holding, basically kind of forcing them to get filled. Um, I mean, for the most part, to me, it looks like the Globex shorts are basically just saying like, hey, if you want us to move out of the way, then just buy our stops. What do I think about the housing market? Um, I think that what they're doing, because basically they're just trying to curb demand, right? Um, yeah, there it goes back down. See, so up there we saw that buyer hit that 57, right? Got aggressive, bought that 57, and then wasn't able to get back above 57 quickly, and then that's when those people just they flip quick. Today, like I said, it's a very to me it looks like a very mechanical day with a lot of scalping on both sides, a lot of short-term time frame traders in the market today. And that's what I'm saying. If you're going to be in the market, today's not really the day to be looking to catch a long trade, longer time frame trade, until we get a breakout. You want to be in, take some profit, and then try to get a runner and let that runner move. But you definitely want to be managing risk quicker today than previous days with such a tight range. Yeah, about the housing market, so what they're trying to do is just curb this demand, and that's what they're doing with the raising of interest rates, hoping that people will kind of be deterred from buying houses because of, not wanting to pay 5% on a loan. And then in turn, what happens is a lot of people just can't qualify for that 5% loan. What's happened in the past is they start offering these variable rate mortgages when interest rates are high, um, which I haven't really seen it being done yet. I've heard talks about it, but I haven't really seen it. If they start to do that, and for some reason interest rates were to just go up, it could ruin a lot of people, similar to the last housing market crash. But I don't think that that's what's going to happen. I think that what they're doing is actually working. And like I said, they're trying to curb demand. Well, with interest rates going up, I've been seeing prices coming down, and there's been a lot more houses. And like I'm getting ready to buy a house. So, I've been really tracking it pretty closely. And a lot of the houses, I mean, fuck, since like 2020, every house I look at and I like, it's gone like the next week. Well, now I'm seeing a lot of houses sit on there for weeks, days. or days, weeks, sometimes even longer. So there's a little bit less, at least in the area that I tend to be looking at, which is Northeast Pennsylvania. The demand is starting to dry up a little bit. Secretary Yellen, admin looking to, God damn it, I hate when it disappears like that. Looking to reconfigure tariffs in a more strategic way. See, this is they're stupid. The Biden administration is looking to reconfigure tariffs in a way that would be more strategic. China is guilty of unfair trade practices, but some tariffs on Chinese goods do not serve U.S. strategic interests. That's what we talked about yesterday. How we had raised, well, Trump had raised the tariffs on China, so they kind of took the brunt of the cost of goods, and since then, it's been changed, and we're the U.S. people are kind of taking the brunt of the cost. But I mean, this is not good economically if they're looking to reconstruct some of these tariffs, because that's just telling you that the people in Europe are in need of lower prices and that their inflation is not coming down. Statements like that. So that's not an ideal thing to hear if you're living in Europe. Especially coming into winter with all the food and gas that will be needed on a non-harvest season. Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, and the house that I'm looking to buy, probably end up overpaying for it a little bit. Obviously gonna try to get a good deal, but I'm gonna be more this time buying a house to move into. Like, I just want this thing ready. I don't want to move in and have to do a bunch of work to get it the way that I want it. I'm ready to just get it how I want it before I move in. So, but I mean, I'm looking at a couple of houses around like 2,000 square feet, um, 250,000 to 300,000, and like nice updated shit. So, I mean, honestly, for being really honest, I could give a shit about the house. You know what I mean? As long as it provides the shelter that I need to not sleep outside and can give me internet that I need to trade, I don't really care. I'm pretty easy, to be honest. Like, I just, not a lot. I don't need, like, super nice shit. It's nice to have nice shit, but I don't need it. The nicest thing or most expensive, well, I guess not really most expensive, but the coolest thing I'll have soon will be a grill, custom Paul Wall. So there goes that D high, like we thought. Now let's see if these buyers can keep. So these sellers are literally just moving their stops right here and saying, "Hey, if you guys want the high, you've got to pay for it." Buyers are stepping up on the 57.75 right here. See if they can hold. Nope, weakness. We're just seeing a struggle fest here from these buyers. Now we have another poor high. That's 3 in this balance area. Oh, this one doesn't really count. That was a spike. But we have this poor high here and then another poor high, so that's 2. This one's just counting. I think it went to. It's like that. That's weird. Oh, it's on 4 o'clock. Yeah, I don't know. So now is probably when we get that fade back down to the VWAP or the mean, right? 47, 49. Buyers just cannot step up. There's a tight range right here. We've been in between that 58.75 and 52 for about I mean, for about 30 minutes, honestly. That end of D period and E period so far, you can kind of see the last 30 minutes fit 46 to 59, pretty tight range for the last 30 minutes. Yeah, the grill will be super dope. My wife's not super pumped, to be honest. She thinks it's a waste of money. But I mean, it's not really a waste of money because it's gonna be made of gold, and gold, I mean, fuck. That'd be like saying all the gold that I have is a waste. That's just, it's not a waste. And it's gonna look cool as fuck too, so. And it's gonna be custom, like it won't be like some cheap ass like, you know, shit that you see like kids wearing. It's like it's the real deal. So there's a big offer moving down to 56, trying to smother the price. It's chasing the price, just jumped down to 55 quarter. Will it be the last draw? Aggression here. Back and forth though. It's a weak area here from like 52 to 51.50. You're seeing a bid step up on that 51.52 quarter here. Indeed. AMD's breaking down here. What's Nvidia look like? Nvidia's coming back to its open. Apple's coming down as well. Microsoft's already down. Google's breaking down. Amazon looks like shit. Tesla's still holding. Facebook's still holding so far. Morning, Crypto Mojo. Hope everyone has made some decent money with the volatility lately. Yeah, so do I. Did I buy Apple and Microsoft calls like Nancy? I bought Apple calls a while back when Apple came down. It came down to like 136, and then it held to 137. And the next day I bought those calls, but they were just weeklies, and so I'm already out of them. Um, I don't get that kind of cash. Nancy's fucking spent like $4 million on Apple and Microsoft. Those are deep calls too. So like the calls that she bought, we pull this thing over here. She bought, I think they were June 2023 calls, and I can't remember what price they were at. Let me look at my pictures. I have it saved on my phone real quick. We'll find it. So they were, let's see here, 100 call options with a strike price of 80. So she bought 80 calls. So deep in the money calls, she bought these calls right here. So she paid $72.65 for them. So $7,265 per contract, well, that's what they're worth today. It doesn't say what her. It doesn't say what. Doesn't say what the total cost is. Let's send this file. Go up here. Daily. And so she bought them on 5/13. So she bought them here. She bought them when they were around, I mean, 69 to 70, so around like 6,500 to 7 grand, and they're worth about 7,300 bucks right now. She has 100 of them, 150 of them actually. Well, those are, never mind. Hang on, we're on the wrong contract. She has both, but she has these ones. They're about the same price. She has the March 23 and the June 23 ones. So basically what happens when you do something like that, right? So she's got deep in the money calls. So let's take a peek at Apple real quick. And when we're looking at Apple on the daily basis, you can see she's buying 80 calls. So for her to be, I mean, she can still lose money, but for her to not get to buy these shares, it just has to finish below 80 by 2023, right? But let's say the market turns like this. She's not necessarily going to liquidate because she has a bunch of time. What she'll do most likely is probably sell some of these 60 calls to cover as the market comes down. So the market comes down, she sells these 60 calls, the market rebounds, she buys them back for cheaper. You know what I mean? There's probably something. I mean, I'm sure she's not managing her own money, that's for certain, but her husband is probably, he's obviously knows what he's doing. Got his shit together for sure. And so they won't just, even though she's long from here in the market, that's not basically what I'm saying is it's not necessarily a sign that we should just get long just because she's getting long, because we could get long and the market can still continue to go down, might cause us to liquidate, where when she's trading that size, now we have a mechanical high on this E high, or high, and then a mechanical low with this E low coming right down below the halfback of the D period. U.S. Secretary Yellen, higher gasoline prices are a problem all over the world. What does that fucking matter? Like, we know shit they're a problem, but they don't have to be. Ooh, the VIX is down at 23. He's just getting inside information. I mean, there's probably a combination of both, but he's been making money. He's been making money for a while before she's at the level that she's at now. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure I mean, right before COVID happened, you saw a bunch of senators sell like all of their stocks, and then right before this decline, 3 months before in September, all the feds sold all of their stocks because they didn't want it to be a conflict of interest. Oh yeah, of course, Trin. Anything that anything you got questions about? Definitely. So that's just kind of a fucking, oh, it's a conflict of interest. Let me sell all my shit 3 months later, and let me sell it 3 months before so I don't get suspicious. Oh, yeah, I mean, I should have. I mean, if I would have known, I would have just waited and sold the top. Like, do you think? I mean, I guess they don't think they know that most people are just that fucking dumb. So, oh man, I gotta stop. My bad, Peter. Just getting your son all these first time bad words. My bad. I forgot. Try to reel it in. Okay. So interesting here. There's a big sell order at 52 quarter that looked like got covered at 51.50. Like just a looks like some of these players today are starting to get confident and scalp with size, and that can lead to wreck and ruin, um, or extreme luck if you ask Jared, because he got extremely lucky today. Yeah, if we got inside information, yeah, oh for sure. Yeah, well, the thing is, it's easy. So basically, what happens is you get inside information, and the SEC investigates you, and then they come after you and whatever the charges they deem for whatever rules you broken, sentences, and blah blah blah. What happens is a lot of these um, big money players that are out there, they offer them a deal. Every time they're like, oh hey, if you don't want to go to jail, just pay the fine. Until they're like, oh yeah, yeah, $1 million fine, that's nothing. Here you go. You guys can have $1 million. And they're like, SEC gets, new Nissan Altimas for the fleet. So they're like, oh, job well done. You know what I want to do this week as well? So if we look at Tesla, so Tesla's getting a pump, right? For the past 2 days. Uh on Friday, so let's look at Tesla options real quick. Trade Tesla. Okay, so weekly options on Tesla I mean, all options on Tesla are expensive as fuck, right? You're paying $1,500 for at the money options. Anyways, so if we're looking at this, so this is puts on the right side, calls on the left side. Here's Tesla over here. So let's look for some possible levels going into Friday's PMI, right? And so what I'm looking to do is play a daily option. So on either Friday morning or Thursday night, looking to try to snag one of these, like maybe a 650 or an 820 or something like that. I mean, they'll be cheaper tomorrow and then cheaper at the end of Thursday. But basically, I'm expecting a bigger move on Friday. I'm expecting a breakout of balance this Friday. How far out it goes or where it goes, which direction it goes, I really don't know. Um, but what I am going to try this week is to look. So I might try like these 650 puts and maybe these 800 calls. Where's these 800 calls? 800 calls are like $2 right now, and 650 puts are like $1. So yeah, that'll actually work out perfectly, especially once we get later in the day tomorrow, depending upon if we just balance today. If we break out of balance today, then the play will be ruined. But if we don't break out of balance, I'd like to give it a try. I've seen a lot of big moves on some of these options, and we'll go over it on Friday. We'll go over the, oh no, Friday I won't be here. Fuck. I'll just post it in the Discord on Friday. But I'll dig into it tonight at the end of the day, and then I'll shoot those out. And so I'm not going to be buying. I'm going to buy one on each side. That's it. So I'll probably end up spending like 200 to 300 bucks. And basically with the volatility in Tesla, the way that it works, you get some of these options and you get a decent move, especially if we get some volatility, that these options, the IV just kicks up and the premium just shoots and you're able to cover them. And I do a lot of, we'll try to ghetto spread them is what I'll try to do. One's going to be a loser for sure. Yes. The screen's super blurry for you? Might be your computer because it's not super blurry for me. Morning, Xavier. Okay, there it is. Clear now. Yeah. Yeah, I upped it to the HD, so it should be coming in 1080 at least. What's up, Kevin?
The put in the call, right? Is that how
Right.
that works?
Right. So let's say because I mean I could lose all the money, right? If the market doesn't move and it stays inside balance, both of them will just become absolutely worthless. The theta will kill them. But what you're having here, if you look at the oh, it's not even let me look here. My Okay, so if you look
What
at
what
this,
what software are you using right there?
this is Thinkorswim. But if we're looking at this implied volatility, you can see how much it increases as price gets to it. And then if we were to add, uh, let's just look at the Greeks real quick, so we can see the theta on this. These are these 650 puts is 81 cents. So basically, as time goes by, every dollar I'm going to be losing 81 cents towards every day, basically, as of right now, if the market doesn't move in my direction naturally. But so the way that it's set up is, you can spend the 200 bucks to get this play, and it's kind of a strangle. It's just not at the money strangle, so it's more of a wider strangle, like more of a poor man's strangle, I guess you would say. But so if I pay $1 for this and it goes into the money, and we're looking at the delta, so I get $4 for every dollar. So this thing goes up to, let's just say it goes up to, or let's just say this is the put. So let's say it goes down to 680, right? So we come down here, 680 gives us $11. So that's going to give us a $20 difference minus the 11 cents, but per dollar. And then, depending upon the volatility, could raise it or give it a little bit more premium. But even if it just goes down this $30, we're looking at 250, so I'm still plus $50, right? Spend 100 here, it becomes a loss. Spend another 100 here, it turns it from 100 into 250. So 250 minus the 100 I spent right here, minus the other 100 I spent for the contract, gives me down $50 profit. Right? And on 200, $50 is 25%, right? So I mean that's pretty decent.
Yeah, 25%.
25%, 30%, so not a
25%.
Yeah, well, it's 25%, but 25%, 30% is normally what I'm looking for as my first take profit on my options play. So it has some time, and I even have some because today is only Wednesday, and those options are cheap, and with the volatility low, and this is the key here, is that the VIX is down low, down at 23, the lowest it's been. And we can even let's look at this thing on the daily real quick. You can see the VIX, right, has just been kind of getting compressed down here. You know, we typically don't draw trend lines on the VIX, but because it doesn't trade like a normal market and blah, you'll hear a bunch of shit from everybody. But this is just what I do. But basically, it's coming back into a spot where people are going to have to decide: are they going to continue to sell premium, or are they going to start to buy puts? Is the fear going to start to come back in? Well, I think next week the fear comes back in, and even Friday the fear might come back in with the PMI if it oops, I don't want to do that. If PMI shows us that inflation hasn't peaked in the United States, a lot of fear will start pouring back in, I assume.
Yeah, there's a couple things this week, but so if you're buying the puts and calls, you don't really care if it goes up or down. You just want to move a
I just
bunch
wanted
in
to
one
move.
direction.
Right, exactly. So there's a lot of, that's the thing with options, there's a lot of ways to play, right? So, I mean, and that's why in options, the more experience you get, it does take a little bit more money to play with options. So you have to build up an account. And especially with options, you have that PDT rule. So if you don't have at least 25K in your account, you can only make 3-day trades every 5 days or something like that, unless you do a cash account. And the settlement on the cash accounts is 24 hours now. So I mean, there's no point. You could get like 2 grand in there and you could be good to go. But even less, honestly. It wouldn't even take 2 grand. It could take like $150 or $200 that it would cost to take this play. But you know, there's what I'm going to be doing is basically a strangle. So I'm expecting to get in out of the ordinary move. And you could play it inversely, right? I could sell the 800 call and then sell the 800 put, and then I'm expecting the market to stay in balance. And as long as it stays in balance by the end of the day, then I get to keep that premium. Um, that's called a straddle, right? Because you're straddling price. You're waiting. You're trying to get price to stay. But um, you know, I don't think that's the move for Tesla. And it might not happen. It might not happen this week, right? Friday could be a non-event, and then it could just be a wash, and then I'll have to try it again next week. The thing is, and here, and this is why I like Tesla for these Friday options, because if we take, oh, this is the VIX, where's Tesla? Tesla, there we go. So if we take just daily options, and let's just look at an at the money option here. Let's send this to Lilac, come back up to the top, get rid of all these strikes. I mean, you can see here, let's just go like this real quick. Maximize sell. Let's change it to lilac. Okay, so we can see this is the options chart. This is how the options has been trading. So this option was at one point worth $8,000. You know, now it's worth 700. Today about 1,500. And so this option's been beat down hard. But we know that, you know, if it starts to get back in the money, and this is back on 512. So if we look at Tesla on 512, you know, price wasn't much different than it is now. This is 512 here. The thing that's been killing it is that volatility. They've been premium crushing by pushing down and pushing up and then pushing back down uh, to, you know, try to get these options cheap, and they've been successful. And so now's that opportunity. And even if we just look at this option, let's look at for the past 5 days, we can see here, just for the past 5 days, this option was $6,500. This is back last week on Thursday. now worth 1,400 bucks. So all it takes, and remember last Thursday was that trend day to the upside in the ES. That's all it takes is a little break, and then boom, the premium on here could go from 1,500 to, fucking $6,000, and you're looking at 500% or so, and that's for an at the money option. If we were to look at the option that we were talking about, let's say we were talking about these, what did we say, what calls did we say, 750 calls? No, 800. So we can see, like, I mean, these at one point yesterday were worth only 9 cents, 90 bucks, right? Actually, that might be $9. It is. Yeah, they're worth $9, and now they're worth 158 bucks today just because Tesla's having an update, and it's not even having that big of a day. We can see it right here. So this is why I'm saying there's opportunity here in these Tesla options. We just have to start identifying them and taking advantage. And that's something I'm going to be focusing on and trying to set up for Fridays, because I think Fridays would be the best day to catch those.
But you guys said two things. So you do have to have 25 grand, or you don't have to have 25 grand?
So you don't have to have 25 grand if you make your account a cash account. But if you make it a margin account, like if you wanted to trade futures with it, it would have to be a margin account. And if it's a margin account, the pattern day trading rule will apply.
Okay, so then how much would you need to have
you only need the money that's in you only need the money that you need to make the play in your account.
And that's the most you can lose?
That's the most you can lose, exactly. Yep.
Wow. That's pretty tremendous.
Of course, like I'm not gonna, well, for those ones, those are more like a gamble, right? Just more just trying to make a play on volatility. But if I'm normally trading options, I'm normally not trying to sit in an option that's, just going down, 40-50%. That's just, obviously I identified the trade wrong and need to cut some of the premium and try again later. But that's what gets a lot of newer traders, because they don't have the money in the account to day trade, or they just don't know about a cash account. And even if they do know about a cash account, a lot of times people have problems, taking that 30% profit or cutting it at a 30% loss, because they're like, well, I can only lose $100, so I'll just hold on to this forever. Well, 7 out of 10 times most options are going to expire worthless. That's why smart people or big money is selling options, not buying them for the most part. Bitcoin just hovering here around its point of control. Same with the ES, just kind of on Groundhog Day mode here. Like a lot of absorption again up here. And remember our little zone down here, right? This little zone here is kind of a no trade zone. And the reason being is because, no volume has come in down here really. Even though we have, 5 TPOs here and 4 down to here, we haven't really seen much volume in this area. Comparatively, right? Still some volume, but comparatively. Volume in that E period was about 2% higher than yesterday, so really for the most part unchanged. If you want to trade futures, go with AMP because TD margin rate is pretty high. Yeah, I mean it's all dependent. You know what I mean? Um, I do the long term ads in TD on that account, the ones I'm gonna hold. But if I'm day trading, yeah, you want to go with like AMP or like I have stage 5. Um, there's a bunch. I was reading something yesterday too that said Uber is gonna start delivering anything like nationwide. I'm like, I'll take some fucking tea and crumpets from England then. Like what does that even mean? Like I don't understand that. They're just gonna go to fucking In and Out when I'm in the East Coast and I want In and Out and mail it to me. And you can once you get an account and you start trading futures, you can call your broker and not necessarily haggle, but at least just work with them about the margins that you or about the the margins also, but about the commissions too. So you can call TD as well and talk to them um about the margins and what you're doing. TD just has it there because they want to it's a free platform and easy. So if people if they made their margins low, people will just probably lose all their money instantly. Little buyers stepping up right here. This 51.50. They've got to break this eventually. I mean, this is just basically leading up to the break of this A level, and when A level breaks, it's probably just going to run in either direction. Um, like I said, you don't want to be in the way of that when that happens. That will be a bad day. Twitter's starting to break out here. Mm, it's almost a buck up from the impulse there. Gotta be quick. Gotta be quick. Too fast for me. I missed it. Ooh, Twitter to comply with Musk. What's that about? Let's read this. Mortgage application index falls to lowest level in 22 years. No shit. That's what they're trying to do. So that's actually good news for them. Target CEO says unloading excess inventory is necessary pain. If you want to go to Target and get a fucking deal, they're selling all their shit for cheap because they're trying to get new shit. So one time your wife wants to go there and spend $100 because that's what they charge them when they go inside the store. At least that's what they charge my wife when she goes inside Target. It's at least $100 charge for the ticket inside. Now might be the time to encourage that. In reversal, Twitter plans to comply with Musk demands for bot data. That's why Twitter's popping.
It's up to me. There's no way they don't know what percentage of bots are. I mean,
there is no way. Can I peek the time here? This is the, I mean, I guess it's the only way I can do it. Is the task manager is on my other screen, or the bar or whatever. It's the delay should be, Greg, like maybe 15 seconds at the max. I have like the lowest delay possible. If you are still getting a big delay, switch over to Twitch. Twitch has 0 delay. That shit is instant and still has good quality, and I can still see the chat if you chat there as well. So all right, who's ready for some stretching? Get some stretching in real quick. Stand up, move around. We've been sitting for, is it an hour now? An hour and 19 minutes. You meant speak the time. The time right now is 19:19 and 15 seconds. But yeah, stand up, get some stretching in. We're gonna grab our lesson book. There it is. And Bangali, thank you for the follow on Twitch, my man, or woman, or whatever you go by. All right. Well, since we're not doing shit, we'll just go ahead and get this lesson on the way. And today's lesson is about journaling, naturally, because you guys know I love journaling. But today we're going to digress a little bit. Well, let's see if F period breaks down here. Remember, this is our kind of no volume zone where we haven't got any sellers to move down, and every time we came back up through it, it's just a short covering pop. So let's see if you get some sellers to move down or if buyers move up and buy here. Week. But so when we keep our journal, most of the time we're focused on our journal. We're only writing down the things that maybe we see in the trading or on the chart, or we levels, things like that, right? We're not really thinking about writing down the emotions or the psychological feelings that we're getting while we're going through some of these trades, right? And this is a key thing, because what it will do is it will allow you to. Okay. Advanced decline's turning over here, back below 800. Apple's coming back down to its open as well. Big rejection off that 150. But what it will allow you to do, right, when we keep a psychological journal, it allows us to keep or to understand or to keep track of some of our behavioral patterns, which are tendencies to act in a particular way in a given situation, right? So, we get in a trade, it starts to lose right away, let's say. How do we react? What are we feeling in those times, right? And then that's when we get into emotional patterns, and these are tendencies to enter particular moods or states in reaction to particular events, right? So let's say you take your first trade is a loser. Instead of just journaling that you had a losing trade, I want you to start journaling some of the emotions that you're feeling. That way, as you go throughout the day, you can track to see if I lose my first trade, does it start affecting the rest of my trading day, right? That's a key thing. And then cognitive patterns, which are tendencies to enter into specific thinking patterns or frames of mind in the face of personal or market related situations. So this is telling us, like, let's say we get into a winning trade this time and it starts to win right away and we take profit right away. Well, if we understand our psychology and understand our thinking process, right, our cognitive patterns, this is what's going to allow us to maybe take that next step and start holding on to some runners, or at least understand what, when we go back, is causing us to get out of that trade, right? How many of us have taken a trade? Let's say we take a long here, boom, we take profit here, and then the market just goes on forever, right? Just fucking end of the screen, can't even get up here. The effing end of the screen. It's hard for me, Peter. I am sorry, but I am trying. Um, it's just like it's just like one of the, it's like my crutch word. So that is one thing that if we track, will give us some insight, after time, right? Because that's how we do. Like, normally I go back into my journal at the end of the month, right? You can do it at the end of every day, you can do it at the end of every week, you can do bi-weekly, you can do tri-weekly, you can do whatever you want, but I tend to look at it every month. I highlight in there every single day. I'm keeping mine on an Excel spreadsheet at this rate, but it's the same idea. So basically, the psychological journal will be a tool for developing your internal observer, learning to recognize what you're doing when you're doing it, right? And this is a good thing that my dad and I were actually talking about the other day. He started, because I had talked about recording yourself, right? I thought it was a good idea to record yourself and then watch yourself back and see what happens. Like, what happens on your face when you get into a trade, or what happens to your expression. And so he uses his Apple Watch, and he was seeing that as soon as he would get in a trade, his resting heart rate would jump from basically 70 to 90 right away in a trade. Not necessarily the trade went bad or good, but his heart rate would just pop up, right? And so that's what he has to understand, that at that elevated heart rate, what kind of thinking are we going through here? Switch back to Bitcoin. What kind of thinking are we going through here? What kind of emotions are we feeling that's causing this heart rate to jump up to 90, right? 90 is like you're at like a brisk walk heart rate, for those of you guys that aren't really versed with how your heart rate goes, right? 90 is elevated, right? If you shouldn't be having a 90 heart rate if you're just sitting at a chair at a computer. You know, so that's one thing that if you don't have the ability to record yourself, but you do have an ability to track your heart rate, that could be a thing as well. But I mean, you can just do the simple thing, right? Pull your iPhone out, set it right in front of your computer screen or lean it against your computer screen, press the record button, and then just let it go. Yeah, it's going to eat up a ton of fucking space, but after you watch it, just delete it. You know, you don't need to keep that forever unless you've got, you know, an iCloud that just can hold everything.
What are you recording though?
Yourself,
Yeah.
your face, your body, your mannerisms. You'll get a lot of information from things like that, right? Like think about the game of poker. You know, you have limited information to base what you're doing off of probabilities, and because of the experience, you know which cards are, you know, which cards are good. Little bit of a stop run right there. Started from about 41. So if they don't get back above 41, this could be that liquidation. Still, I'm still being super cautious here. I don't really like I don't really like the market inside of a period at all. It's just ugly. But if we get back above 41, you can kind of expect the market to go back into that no zone of 44 to 48. But yeah, you're recording yourself, right? Because you know a lot of times, and you won't even think it, you get into a trade and then boom, like maybe your face changes, maybe your brows ruffle, and that's what people look for on poker, and that's why it's tough a lot of times in the World Series of poker. You get a lot of these people that have played against each other, so they know each other, they know their mannerisms, right? So I had been building a tell for a while. When I was playing poker in Korea, I'd been building this yawn tell, and I never got. There was this main guy. His name was Archie. He was a higher up in the army, and he was just a fucking douche. But he was always smack talking, and he was always finishing really close to the top. And so I knew final table at the tournament I was going to get to go against him, but I knew he had been taking notes on me because I was really young and kind of just like almost, you know, just coming out of nowhere for the most part. Because most of the young people at the time really didn't play poker, right? This is right when Moneymaker won the World Series of Poker. You know, my dad actually got me into poker, and then we used to clean up some online tournaments uh, quite a bit. But I had been building this tell that when I had good hands, I would yawn. I would look at my cards and I would just take like a deep breath, but like try to make it like I was hiding it. And I would do it all the time, right? And if I did it and I saw that he was paying attention, I would always show my cards, and I would only do it when I had good cards. And I waited for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, and I got him deep into um a hand that he did not want to be in. And the turn comes up, the turn's an ace. I mean, I didn't know, obviously, had a feeling that he, you know, didn't have an ace based off of me looking at his facial expressions. Well, I peeked at my cards one more time, took a yawn. He folded, and this was probably over half of his chip stack. I flipped over my cards. I had nothing, and he went mental. And he was a good poker player. He was a very good poker player, but he went fucking mental and just traded. He just played like shit for the rest of the tournament, and he went from almost being a chip leader to being out of the tournament probably 7 or 8 hands later. You know, just by me understanding his psychology and me understanding my psychology, I knew what he was looking for. And I knew what I was looking for. And when he showed the slightest bit of weakness, I pressed him to the edge. And he folded like a chair. Save that one, Peter, because I was going to say something else. You know, and so that's where the importance comes in, from understanding yourself. And you're not going to be able to see these things because you're distracted. You get in a trade, you can't feel these emotions, you just have them, right? And so you've got to understand them, and the best way to understand them and to actually use them to your advantage, or to maybe change some of them if you want to, or get more comfortable with them, is to track them. right? When we repeat patterns in trading that consistently lose us money or opportunity, the odds are good that we are replaying or copying strategies from earlier phase of life, one that helped us in a prior situation, but which we've long since outgrown. And this is from, you know, the trading, the daily trading coach. There's no monetization anyway, so I can basically say whatever the fuck I want. Just as the trading journal has become has helped us become keenly aware of the market patterns, our psychological journal can alert us to the repetitive patterns of thinking, feeling, and acting that interfere with sound decision making. Such a journal, like the annotated charts that I mentioned, begins with observation. We want to review our trading day and notice all of the patterns that affected our trading. The initial goal is not to change those patterns. Rather, we simply want to become better at recognizing the patterns so that we'll eventually learn to identify their appearance in real time. Right? And this is basically saying that, oh, there goes that low. Starting to pick up a little bit of tempo. Oh, Bitcoin's coming down as well. But this can kind of tell us that, I mean, basically it can help us identify ways to start being comfortable, right? You know, how many people, when they get in a trade and it doesn't start winning right away, they start to, you know, grab their fidget spinner or tap their feet or, like, you know, start to focus more, and they're like almost trying to will it up, right? Well, that's those emotions that you're not, you know, understanding, kind of driving your process. Careful here, guys. If it breaks this A low, you could get a pretty decent liquidation if they're able to break it. Not really seeing a ton of volume down here. And it looks like someone bought the 34.75. Right down to the weekly VWAP, which is at 41.32 flat, literally like right at it right there. But it gives you that that the tool that you need to be able to go back and understand that, and then you recognize those patterns. Okay, every time I get in a trade, doesn't start losing or doesn't start winning right away, I start to get fidgety, and then all of a sudden, as soon as it goes in profit, boom, I close the trade. Right? Well, this is how you're going to be able to move past that. If this is something that is affecting you, right? If it's not affecting you and you're, you know, ironclad psychology, you know, good on you. But I think that everybody can benefit from journaling. A favorite journal format that I use divides a normal piece of paper into 3 columns. The first column describes the specific situation in the markets. The second column summarizes the thoughts, feelings, and actions taken in response to the situation. The third column highlights the consequences of the particular cognitive, emotional, and or action patterns. The first 2 columns will help us recognize the situational triggers for our patterns. This makes us more sensitive to their appearance over time. The third column emphasizes in our mind the negative consequences to our patterns. Those negative consequences could include emotional distress, losing money on a trade, or failure to take advantage of an opportunity. Right? And these are these things that are going to let you track these things. A little bit of buying here off the low, but the low does not look like doesn't look very safe at this rate. Greg, for the follow on Twitch. Thank you, my man. All right. Your goal should be to identify your repetitive patterns and their consequences. Not try to change those patterns at all at once. You cannot change something if you are not aware of it. Boom. The psychological journal is a powerful tool for building that awareness and understanding what is generating your distress. Keep the journal for 30 consecutive days to help you see just about every variation of your most common patterns. It will also begin the process of turning self-observation into a habit pattern, a positive pattern that can aid you in your personal life and in your trading. And that's today's lesson. All right, we could do a lesson every day. For my brain, Tommy. No, I'm just kidding. It's from The Daily Trading Coach. It's from the book by Brett Steenbarger. Can you imagine just in photographic memory? Encyclopedia. How do you guys say it? How do you guys say it in England? Do you say encyclopedia or encyclopedia? I've heard people say it both ways. The first one? Oh, so you guys say it the same way? My kids are obsessed with the English accent. Because we watch Hell's Kitchen all the time, and so they're like always trying to sound like Gordon Ramsay. You're seeing what to me looks very similar to what we saw at the highs here, is that these basically buy stops are down here saying like, hey, if you want to, a little bit more downside, you gotta pay the price. And it doesn't look like they're willing to pay the price yet. Oil's still cracking up. Oil's up at 122 now. There goes that low. Let's see if they can get it. Big bid down at 23.75. If they take the A low, that first target's made at 21.5 back, and then that 107 quarter. Remember, 4101 is our monthly balance low. But then we still have balance, the current balance that we're in right here. But that's a monthly balance low. Yeah, he has some hilarious videos going in. Yeah, he has some hilarious videos. Yeah, they don't pick up the bad language. I mean, they hear the bad language from me, so I don't talk any different than I do right now in front of my kids. It's the same. Like I said, I can only be me. There's the stop run. Sellers move down 28.75 here, so let's see if they can hold it down. Yep, they're moving down, selling the 25. A big bid sitting on the 23.75 here. Let's see if we get a reaction. Remember, the target's at 21 here. So 23.75, 300 lots still sitting on it. Didn't get down there. 144 lots traded on the low. Oh man, the yen is getting smacked. Oof. Poor yen. With that weak yen, that makes like all of Asia kind of weak. And that can drive down chip makers as well. Yeah, oh yeah, fuck, already missed it. Never mind. Sorry about that, guys. Oh, it's on Forex. What the fuck is it? Yeah, video already turned around. Missed it. Still in balance though. AMD's coming back down to that balance as well. Only sector, let's look at the breadth, right? The breadth is starting to pick up on the NYSE, but energy, communication services, consumer discretionary are the only sectors that are still green. You see 100 lot order chain or trade on the 24, traded on the ask. So a decent sized buyer, but that target is almost here. Looking for that 21. 21. Some buyers on the 23 quarter, but probably just a little short cover in there. The CC won't let me. There we go. So we should be covering some here. If you took the short from the A low, definitely want to be covering a little bit here. You're up about 7 points, so pretty decent profit. And then our next target down is going to be a fill of these singles, and if they are able to fill those singles, then we'll look towards the low of balance. We still want to watch these lows, and I'll just mark these now because I don't have them marked yet, but day is this 6-6 low. There we go. That way we can just see it a little bit easier if the market starts to or continues to give us this downside. The areas where people are looking to possibly show up. So there goes the break, and let's see if we can get some continuation here. You do have some buying down here, but not too much. Their target's got to be to close those singles from yesterday. That's that weak structure. Big selling coming in here. Big sell order on the 1,945 lot trade. And watch the 19. Big sell order came on the 19. So if we get too much above that 19 or start to spend too much time above the 19, that's going to be an area that we gotta, if we're short, we gotta be careful above that. Shorts are starting to cover. Damn, somebody covered on that low tick almost. 18 they covered on. What a trade. Is that one of you guys? That's a good cover right there. God damn. Volume's picked up. It's about 5% more now. Fed bids for 10-year notes total 1.9 billion. EU approves Spanish and Portuguese electricity price curbs to mitigate price impact of Ukraine invasion. Twitter top lawyers tells staff CEO anticipates shareholder vote on deal maybe late July or early August. There we go. There's our catalyst. Write that on your calendar. Pretty much it. Today's Wednesday. The Dubs are back on today, so definitely want to watch that. So you see how we identified this. We were down here. I mean, and we could zoom in to see it, but I mean, you could see it from here, and the way that we see it is based off of the volume. The numbers really don't matter to me. I'm more looking at the color, right? We know red is high, white is second, blue is third, and then this light blue is basically just nothing. But so when we came down here to this 19, a big volume came in, right? And we pushed below. So we identified where this seller was at, and we know if we get too much above him, that he's going to start to get scared and start to cover. Well, we got above that half back, and then that's what we're seeing here is this short covering. So this is not necessarily our opportune moment, like, oh, let's get long, this guy's fucked. But depending upon if more selling doesn't move down and protect this A low, remember we're still in balance, and the opportune odds of rotation are fairly high. And if we get back inside this A range, could trade right to the right back to the point of control. But this is kind of that re-offer moment here, and then maybe at like the 30, 28, 30 level. There's weak spot right here, 28. That's about from like 28 to 29.75, 30. What's 9 plus 10? 19. How come I'm not seeing these chat over here? What the fuck? That's weird. The only psychological factor is fear of loss. If you can detach yourself from the value of money, then you win the battle. Traders close profit early because they don't want to give back winnings, and then they hold losing trades because they don't want to lose. Yeah, it is big. Sorry, I just seen these comments. I don't know why they're not showing up on my other screen, but yeah, the it is it is a big thing. Fear is a big generalization, though. That's the thing, is you can break that down a little bit more, because not everyone has the ability to just kind of understand that that's what it is, and then um you know boom boom goes a dynamite, and then they've got all their shit together. Damn, oil's just getting up and up and up. Yeah, ego is such a big thing. You know, people just want to be, not only do they want to be right, but they want to be validated for being right. You know what I mean? Which to me is just kind of insanity. You know what I mean? I think, I mean, I don't even think, I know that people care too much what other people think about them. Um, and you know, if you can, if you can grind that out of your trading, get that ego out of your trading, you'll get the ego out of the rest of your life, and you won't have that anymore. And that can improve a lot of aspects of your life, because then you're not really, you know, you're not wasting that brain space caring what other people are assuming of you, right? You're just doing you, and that's, you know, that's ultimately what's going to lead to being happy. Still inside yesterday's range, right? So we can expect this to be a little bit choppy in here. You wish you pay for ego removal? Just go to the doctors. I'm like, oh, remove your ego. 100 lot buy order on the on the 4126 there. So that we've identified a buyer now. So too much below this 26, too much time spent below this 26 can, you know, often cause another liquidation. Five minutes. Are we going to open up on single prints or are we not? And most combat officers don't care other than the end goal. That is true. They just want that OER bullet. And the Ranger tab. Deep LVN at 28 quarter. Yeah, I track those weak spots. Yeah, I definitely do. Yeah, that's why I'm looking at that kind of like 28 to 29.75 level as a weak level, that if buyers aren't able to fill that back in, then uh downside comes more, you know. Fear is a very complex and dynamic thing. In some ways, fear is healthy and natural, like don't touch a hot stove, but it goes so much deeper than that in our areas, in our psyche and experiences. Definitely agree with that. That's a good way to put it. Remember that buyer was at 26, starting to spend some time under here. We keep spending too much time under here. These bids are going to stop stepping up, and then probably back down to 21, at least to see if people want to buy yesterday's halfback. They're still stepping up. There's a 240 lot order on that 21 quarter, but I haven't seen them really move up yet. Watching 2350 has 139 lots, 40, 39, 47. Let's see if they step up. 38. Some buyers lifting the offer here, 26, above 26. Three minutes. There's some short covering right there, or some liquidation, it looks like. It looks like that long took profit. Let me see. I'm done for the day. Exceeded your loss limit by a lot. Went from the bottom of value area and added a second trade when it bounced off the overnight low. Went halfway to my goal and more than double my loss limit one trade. Damn. Sorry to hear that. I mean, it happens. You know what I mean? Like it's not like a, don't feel like it doesn't happen to everybody or hasn't happened to me before, because it definitely has. It's a math equation. That like a that's a joke. 'Cause buyers are actually starting to step up here on the 24 this time. They were sitting down below the 23, and now you're starting to see them step up here on the 25.50. They jumped out of the way quick there. 300 lot order sit, or not 300 lot order, but 300 offer, 26 half. One minute. Bids keep stepping up, but I mean, price has gone up like 2 points, but a lot of bids stepping up. You assume that they could take this thing a little bit higher. Yeah, earlier you said 21, like the meme. Oh, okay, I get it. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like the joke, yeah. What's 9 plus 10? 21. Yeah. Okay. Not a lot of people. Not a lot of people get that. So you caught me off guard there because I didn't know that you were catching on to that. The delay on the Facebook stream is pretty low latency as well. Too much excess? Um, it depends on the day, really. It's a tough one to be honest with you. A lot of buying on this 26 still. I mean, it's hard. It just depends because I mean, even if you look at the excess from yesterday, right? We had a lot, but it held all day. Um, it's tough. It's tough to really. It's tough to really like put a number on it. You know what I mean? It's just kind of a feeling. But I mean, like too much, I guess. Like when we had that other day, like um that initial A period that was like 40 points long. For me, I'm thinking to myself, okay, that's probably a bit too much. So back down to this 23 level. This is where initially that buyer was kind of saying like, "Hey, I'm down here, come get me." So let's see if they try to push back down. You've got offer or bid stepping on 22 and 21 here. The buying is starting to look a little bit stronger here on at this low, but not by much, if I'm being honest. Huh? Just got taken out right there. It's close. The H high is weak, yeah. So is the G high. The G high is sold off right from that 6.3, from that 6.3 high. I mean, there's an old reference and not really utilized like in the book, I guess, but that's something that I look at, and we can see like within balance here. There's that poor high. So it was a level, and it's the 40 level that we have from our plan too. So it just seems like a very mechanical high as well. Interesting, we have value overlapping to higher, but we're one time framing down now inside the previous day's range, right? We initially got a decent bounce off of that, point of control, glow back slow. That D period took us back up, but EFG brought us down, and H period getting a little bit of a bounce off of the 21 here. Yeah, exactly. That's why, like, if we're in balance like this, that's what I look for. Yeah. If we weren't in balance, yeah, then I wouldn't even consider it. But because we've been balancing for 7 days, 8 days now, that's what makes me look for those reference points. Because sometimes we'll just see that all of a sudden, boom, some buying will start, and I'm just like, what the fuck is going on here? Um, and then oh, come to figure, it's a previous day's high or low that's inside this balance range. Chris Vecchio said that technicals suggest a move towards 126, possibly near term for oil. They said the kid was actually predicting COVID mandates, started with an equation. Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah, there. Yeah, it went crazy. Yeah, and he's an oil man. Yeah. What can I say? I'm an oil man, Vic. Offer trying to move down to some other price here. There's a battle right here at this 22-ish area. Yeah, he was a genius. Yeah, I mean, most of the time, someone is deemed a genius, it's after the fact. because most of the time before they're deemed a genius, they were, you know, deemed dumb or crazy. It's a fine line. A lot of these things are, you know, like a lot of these things. There's a fine line between brave and stupid. There's a fine line between genius and crazy. There's a fine line between gambling and managing risk. Volume picked up in that last session. That G period had 6% more volume. Nothing crazy, but a bit more. You walk the line. All right, Pop. We'll see you. Have a good day. So here we go. We're getting a little bit of what looks like short covering now. We came off the low, tested back below this half back. Nobody wanted to initiate selling down there. Back to this 26 level that we've seen most of this volume down. So if we can get above that 26 level and hold, that H high is mechanical and this G high is mechanical, and that could just take us back into balance. Tight range here from about 29 quarter to 17 quarter, so 12-point range. Got a mixed bag today. Google's about to flip red, actually. Tesla's only up 1.7. Remember, this morning it was up 3. Same thing with Facebook, only up 1.7. The advanced declines at about 1,500 negative, and the Vold, the breath, is down about 10 million or something. So you walk the line of crazy and genius. It's like the line that I walk between lucky and hardworking. A lot of hard work sprinkled with luck on top. Or above that 26. Let's see if they can hold this 26. If they do, like I said, near target to me, that H high, which seems a little bit mechanical, that kind of brings us back into that A session structure, and then kind of eliminates our theory of turning into a trend day if we return back into value. I'm not in a position right now, just so everybody knows. Then a short when we broke the A low, and oh, is Kathy Woods on right now? Yeah, she's on that up summit. I need some. Guess they can add insider trading to DUI. They just chap you with that. Just toss it on there. Do I ever trade alts? Oh, H, there you are, bro. What's up, man? H high, yep. Yeah, I trade alts sometimes. I used to trade BNB like a savage. Just short the shit out of it all the time. There was a level for a while that we would just short, and then it would pop back up, and we just short it again and pop back up. So this is a while ago. This is like January time. Here. Yeah, it was like back here. It was like around this level here. We were just looking to get short, and it would just come down. Eventually, it would come back up, short again, then it would come back up, short again. And eventually, it finally just decided to break. But I mean, BNB really has held up a lot stronger than, in my opinion, than a lot of the other alts. Damn it! Oh, I did that again. Is that mostly what you're trading, Mojo? Is the alts? So they weren't able to hold the 26. Now they're going to check back at half back, right? And this is where they're going to ask, like, hey, you know, second chance. Anybody want to sell us some low prices? We're going to see if these sellers are willing to initiate lower prices below yesterday's half back. We still have that weak spot in the profile up to 29.25. I filled it in a bit, but about from 29.5 or 29.25 to 29.75. I mean, Control Z. Oh, okay, nice. Oh, perfect. That's good to know. Appreciate it. Kathy Wood says ARK inflows are because people trust them. Only 9 contracts trade on that G low. That's interesting. And there's only 23 contracts traded on the low of this H period. You just started trading BTC a few weeks ago, mostly ADA. Yeah, no, it really is. It is. It is, Mojo. And that's one thing I've been talking about for a while is like, you know, instead of trying to catch every move on crypto because there's a million a day, just get comfortable with a couple of coins that you know how to trade, right? Like for me, I know what I'm looking for when it comes to Bitcoin, when it comes to the ES, when it comes to some of the equity markets, but that's because I've been doing them for a minute, so I'm comfortable with them. But like if you're, you know, if you're getting onto, let's say I wanted to trade, what's a ticker that's ripping today? Rivian, I think, was moving up today. Oh, it's came back down quite a bit. But let's say I wanted to trade Rivian, I don't really know how it trades, and let's say I'm trading it like I'm trading Tesla because it's a car company and it doesn't trade like Tesla necessarily. I mean, I don't know because I don't trade it, but it can get you into some issues, you know what I mean? And so I think that's a good idea that you're doing is, you know, sticking to a few tickers that you're comfortable with and you know how they trade, and that's going to help you develop that pattern recognition. When you see something on the chart, you're like, oh shit, I've seen this setup before, this is what they did last time. Let's see if that's what they go for again. Tight range right here from about 25 to 20 here, a little 5 point range, for like the last, 10 minutes or so. The best cryptos for me are the ones with the smallest wicks and the highest volume. Some of those cryptos don't have enough volume on whatever exchange I'm on, and they can be manipulated so easy. Yeah, yeah, I agree with that as well. I wouldn't be trading. Um, I wouldn't be trading unless I was uh trading on spot. But I wouldn't be trading some of those lower end cryptos on leverage. That is for certain. Back to the 26 here, where buyers need to hold to fix that H. So it didn't really do much, came back down to the same spot, that H low, a couple ticks below the half back. Now they're back above that 26. See if they can get enough short covering really to take us up. Because the buying doesn't look very strong, to be honest with you. It looks more like a little short covering. You wait until the RSI is oversold or undersold to consider a trade. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't done much research into RSI, to be honest with you. I heard a market maker talk about how he manipulated RSI for weeks and held it above 90 for like a few months to trap a bunch of people wanting to get short.
Well, that's why you got to trade like the top 10 or 20. That way, there's so much volume. It's hard for one person to do that.
Well, it was a stock, but he was a market maker, so endless supply of cash. You know what I mean?
Well, and that's why I'm trying to get TPO to look, But really with TPO though, and on crypto, you're really just basically scalping though, because you're not really doing any long trades, right? Because you don't keep any trades open for a while with crypto, right?
I mean, not really. But probably the longest crypto trade that I've had is probably 5 days, maybe.
But you close out all your TPOs every day, right? You never let any of those. I mean, any of your yes trades, right? close all those out.
Yeah, I don't. Well, so I mean, it just depends. Sometimes I do hold ES trades through the close, but um, not often.
What would be a condition that you would keep it overnight?
So, like, let's say if today, if we hold this low and get back above the 40, I'd like to try a long. And let's say the market just kind of finishes up here above this settle and isn't able to close. I might hold one or two into or through the close to see if we're going to get a bunch of short covering during Globex, or to see if the bullies show up on the opposite side, because we've had the same thing almost 2 days in a row. Overnight inventory 100% short and no correction until later in the day, which was what happened yesterday as well. We can see here, right? We had the settle here, overnight inventory 100% short, a check below. We kind of bounced around pretty much all day, and then or not all day, but bounced around for a good amount of time. J period finally decided to correct some of that inventory that was too short, and then we kind of one time frame up from there. Well, that's kind of what would lead me into thinking that we might get that continuation if we finish up here at the highs above that 40 level. And then we had this profile that I've deemed, it's not a textbook or anything like that, so don't write it down, but this to me looks like a key. And at least in my very brief tracking of profile shapes, comparatively to like some mathematician or Peter Stottlemyre or Jim Dalton, it normally leads to more continuation.
Gonna go to Target.
Oh, okay.
You want to come?
No.
You don't
Everything's
mind
on
if we go?
sale. Yeah.
Everything?
Yeah, they're selling all their shit because they got to get rid of a bunch of inventory. I was actually talking about that on stream. I said,
Great day
I
to
said
go.
if you're gonna send your wife to Target, today's the day.
I'm going.
All right.
No, there's just a couple of things we need.
I heard they're selling all their sweatpants for half price.
Oh, hell. All right, I'll let you know when we're on our way home.
Okay, so
Love you.
love you too. But yeah, I mean, for crypto, if I'm in a leveraged trade, um, I won't hold it without for the most, well, especially now in these market conditions, I won't hold a position without being at the computer, because I don't trust Bybit to fucking close my trade and then just come back, my account's at zero, and I'll have to fly to China and burn fucking Bybit to the ground.
That shit happens too.
Oh yeah, I know, yeah, definitely. It's happened to me before where my stop order didn't execute and my stop was in profit, came back down, came back and didn't even think about it. Thinking like, oh, I'd already moved my stop in profit, I'm gonna be good. Didn't fill me, got back, was in a losing trade, and was like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. And then hit their customer service up, and they're like, try fucking off. And I'm like, oh, okay, thank you. Yeah, I like ADA. ADA was pretty ADA was pretty like traded good structure. That's kind of what I look for when I'm trading uh anything really.
It went up. It went up 29% yesterday. Day for yesterday.
Another one I used to like trading. Oh yeah, Link. I used to trade Link a lot. I liked like trading Link. I never really traded VET. I do got a bunch of it though, but I never really traded it. A little bit of buying off this half back right here.
I used to love Luna.
Man, this is a tight little range right here. Well, damn, it's 10:30. It's about time to hit the workout. High period opens up. The day that we've been finally, Jesus, let's see if we can get some actual momentum now. So they just failed that 26 over and over and over, and then finally they broke out below that 19, and now they're starting to see some downside. We're starting to see some scare bears here. Trying to see some longs fucking get scared, start to liquidate. See if we can fill that single print. Well, this thing is just slow as can be. And it is 10:32. Volumes increased about 6% on this push down. As you can see, these last two bars about 6% more volume than we've gotten. But I'm gonna go catch a workout. I am in a short position here from the 26. Stop loss is on the H high, and I'm just gonna try to let it cruise down to that 107.50. It's just becoming so much of a grind that if I watch it anymore, my eyes might start to bleed. So, I mean, I'll still be watching it, but I'll be working out while I'm doing it, so I'll be a bit distracted. After that, I'll be around all day. I'm not really planning on going anywhere. So if you guys have any questions or need anything, just hit me up in the Discord. Remember that. Oh no, tomorrow's Thursday. Never mind. Friday morning at 5:30 a.m. Pacific time, that PMI number comes out. So if you are in a trade during that time, just be careful, as it can, cause some increase in volatility, and that could be detrimental to an account sometimes. And then other than that, make sure that you guys are managing risk and sticking to your trade plan and having a wonderful day. Thank you, Trin. You have a good day as well.
Thanks, man. Have a good one.
Yeah, you too, Kevin. Thank you. Yeah, you guys have a wonderful day, and I will catch you guys later. Oh, your mom passed? I'm sorry to hear that, man. That's kind of cool. 150 at 20x. I made 2,500. That's nice. Yeah, but that sucks though. All right, we'll catch you later, Mojo. You guys have a wonderful day. Greg, I won't. For what stream are you talking about? I won't be back later for the stream, but I'll be in the Discord. If you need anything.